Alright guys, it's Kyle down here at Luna. Today I'm going to show you how to troubleshoot all of the Talaria bikes if they are stuck on weight. So this applies to all of them, the MX4, the MX3, and the XXX. So if you start up your bike one day and you put the kickstand up and press the start button, but your display is still stuck on weight, don't be discouraged. You may want to try the bike. Sometimes just the displays act up and the bike will still work fine. If that's not the case and you've definitely put the kickstand up, you've definitely pressed the start button, but it's still on weight, first thing you want to do is check your brake sensors. Now the brake sensors on the XXX and MX4, they both plug in right here, super easy to access. The MX3, you'll need to remove the little ignition plate and trace the little wires underneath here, but it is the same steps. So your first step is to unplug the right brake sensor, and if the weight goes away, then you know you need to readjust this right brake sensor. If it's still bad and you unplug the left brake sensor, it'll either go away or it won't. If it goes away when you unplug this one, then you need to adjust this left brake sensor. And I have a separate video for how to adjust your sensors. We'll put a link in the description on where you can find it. The next main cause of a bike that is stuck on weight is a faulty kickstand sensor or kickstand wire been damaged. So I'm going to show you how to get to that. Now this bike's already a little bit taken apart. You will need to remove the bash guard and then this little plastic gearbox cover. Now this is basically the same steps on the XXX, except on the XXX you're only removing the side cover. So there'll be 2 bolts for the bash guard to drop it down. Then you have a little hidden bolt up in here for this cover. And another bolt down below. Now once this cover is out of the way, you can see you have a very small, very fragile wire coming from your kickstand. You do want to check this for damage. If there's any damage on this, you will want to repair it. It can cause other issues down the road if you can see any exposed wiring and then it makes contact with the frame. But for now, we just want to try unplugging this and see if that fixes our issue. Now, if you look way up in here, this wire goes into this little plastic pouch, and it can be pretty hard to get to with all these phase wires kind of holding it in the way. So I do recommend you just go ahead and remove the 4 controller bolts. So I've already removed a few. You have one here, and then the same on the other side. And this is going to help you get to this kickstand wire without having to fight a bunch of other wires. So it does just kind of pull forward like that once you've got all 4 bolts out of the way. You want to pull this little pouch out and you'll see this very smallest connector with these very tiny wires is your kickstand sensor. And you can see on one side there'll be a little spot to push in. You push in on that and then you should be able to unplug this. If you've unplugged this and your bike is still on weight and it's still not working, the last sensor to unplug is underneath this little horn cover. It's your tip over sensor. So you got 3 bolts holding this on. If you have your front fender on, it is helpful to take your front fender off. Otherwise it's really hard to get to this little cover bolt right here. Alright, now if you look up underneath here, it's kind of hard to see. You'll see this little square box. This is your tip over sensor. And these can act up from time to time. So you do want to trace the wire from that, which is in this little pouch. And unplug this. Now, if you've unplugged all of these and your bike still isn't working and it still says stuck on weight, then chances are it's a bad display or a controller. But chances are it'll be your brake sensor. Most likely, if it's not that, it will be the kickstand sensor. And lastly, it could be this little tip-over sensor. So for the XXX, the tip-over sensor is located right down here. It's even easier to get to than this one. On the XXX, the kickstand sensor is in almost the exact same spot, and then the brake cutoffs are identical to this one. So I hope this helps you get your bike running. Again, we do have a link in the description on where you can get a new display, and also a link to the video on how to adjust your brake sensors. So I hope this helps.